is indeed time for another Monday edition of Bet. Tyler Fulghum here alongside the Bear, Chris Fallica, looking cozy and comfy in the Bear Cave, a jam-packed show featuring guests like Mike Tannenbaum on a Monday Night Football heater, Andre Snellings getting us ready for the tip-off of the NBA season, and Marly Rivera ready for Game 3 of the ALCS between the Red Sox and the Astros. But whether it's Anita, whether it's the Bear, whoever is on this side of me, or I should say this side of me, I'm always ready to have some fun with here on Bet. Bear, you ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
All right, we jump right in. Reaction or no action is the name of the game that tips us off on a Monday. I'm going to read a statement. Bear, you give me reaction or no action if you agree or disagree with the statement. Let's start in college football. The Cincinnati Bearcats, now the number 2 team in the country, will make the college football playoffs. Reaction or no action?
It's no action for me. While the Bearcats are there right now, I think the way this season is going to play out, with them really only having one semi-competitive game left with SMU on their schedule, I think ultimately what you're going to see happen is potentially 2 SEC teams could make the playoffs if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game. Potentially 2 Big Ten teams could make the playoff. What happens if Ohio State beats an undefeated Michigan in the final minute and the Wolverines are 11-1 with their only loss to Ohio State, and Ohio State wins the Big Ten? Maybe they both make the playoff. Oklahoma with Caleb Williams now is a completely different team. So I think there are a lot of paths right now for teams other than Cincinnati to make the playoff, and I think at the end of the year, ultimately, I think the Bearcats are probably going to be looking at the outside in.
I hate that so much. Reaction for me.
I know you do.
And this is just maybe emotional. I just want to see a non-group of 5 team get the invite and at least be given a fighting chance. I know we're expanding in the future, and that's all fine and dandy, but the Cincinnati Bearcats have done nothing but go out there and win in impressive fashion. I believe they only have 1 loss against the spread this season. So they're not just winning, they're winning and beating market expectations. So reaction for me, we've already seen Bama lose once. We've already seen Ohio State lose once. Maybe a Michigan and Oklahoma trips up. We know the ACC is just not sending anyone this year with them already being knocked out. As many paths as you see, Bear, for other teams to get in, I see a lot of paths that have already been closed and helped the odds of the Cincinnati Bearcats. But I'll admit, it's emotional for me. I just want to see one time before we expand a non-group of 5 make it to the college football playoff. All right, reaction or no action, Bear. Let's dive into this second topic in the NFL. Dallas will cover every game this season until Week 11. Now, they're 6-0, the only undefeated team ATS in the NFL. They are currently on the bye this week, but have Minnesota, Denver, and Atlanta before getting to that Week 11 matchup against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Will they stay undefeated ATS? Reaction or no action?
I'm going to say no action, and I think, the first order of business is what is Dak Prescott's health with the calf injury he suffered at the end of the game yesterday. I know he said that he's healthy and he's going to be fine, he's going to play through it, but calf injuries can be kind of lingering type things, and that could, unfortunately, they do have the off week this week. Plus, the law of averages is bound to catch up with them and potentially get them one of these weeks. Minnesota certainly is no pushover, but then you look at those 2 games. What would you say? Denver is one game, and Atlanta, I think, was the other one. Like, they're going to be massive favorites, I would think, in both of those games. Leaves the opportunity of a backdoor wide open, especially, I think, in the Atlanta game, which is a game right before the Kansas City game. Say they get up big and Matt Ryan just throws for a bunch of garbage yards late and the back door is wide open because you don't want to risk anybody potentially getting further injured prior to such a big game. So I'm going to go no action, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was.
Yeah, we're in lockstep here, Brother Bear. I'm going to say no action as well. And you said an exact term that I have written in my notes here, just the law of averages. I mean, I don't think the Cowboys are going to go 17-0 ATS this season, despite what their straight-up record is. And they do have the benefit of the bye for Dak to rest his injury and come back. And those are far from imposing opponents that they play before traveling to see Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead Stadium. But you made a great point about how big a favorite they will be in some of those games, and the back door will be wide open. And don't forget how public a team the Dallas Cowboys are, so that kind of artificially inflates their line by a half point or a point each and every week. So bottom line is there will be a letdown spot. I'm not saying I know where it's going to be, But if you give me 3 games before they get to November and that Week 11 matchup with KC, I'll go ahead and guess that at least in 1 of 3 of those games they fall victim to not a straight-up loss, but a loss against the number. But my word, they have been, in my estimation, the greatest team in the NFL this season because, as we know, Bear, good teams win, great teams cover, and all the Cowboys have done is cover. All right, the Cincinnati Bengals, how about their surprising start to this season? They will finish ahead of the Cleveland Browns in the AFC North. Right now, the Bengals are 4-2. The Browns are 3-3. Reaction or no action in the AFC North?
I'm going to say no action, but very, very hesitantly, obviously, with the injuries that the Browns have with Baker Mayfield and Kareem Hunt. That would worry me about being too invested in this one. But at the same time, I think if you look at the Chiefs' schedule, the remainder of the year, they still have some non-division games at the Raiders, who I think are going to make a run now after the coaching change. They've got Kansas City. They've got the Chargers. They have a couple of losable games in that run. So while I think that the Bengals are improved, and I think with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they are very capable of putting up points in any game, I think in the end, maybe you're looking at one of those Nick Bakay advantage push. Maybe the Bengals and the Browns finish with the exact same record, but I'm not sure. Come the end of the year, the Bengals will one-up Cleveland.
Nick Bakay getting a shout in bet, kids.
Go
look him up on YouTube. 1990s ESPN personality who loved talking wagering.
Dating myself,
cool.
I know.
Yeah, before it was cool, Bear, Nick Bakay was on advantage push. Love that, getting that in there. I agree with you, though. It is a push here when it comes to you and I, Barry, because I'm no action as well. So advantage Nick Bakay. I just think that the Browns, although severely injured right now, and Kareem Hunt just getting banged up in this matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. We know Jarvis Landry's out, Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield not exactly healthy. There's been some injuries on the defensive side. They still have the more talented, deeper roster. I think they have the better coach slightly in Kevin Stefanski, so I'll wager on that normalizing over the course of 17 weeks, although injuries are the big variable that you can't control. Despite the great start for Cincinnati, I think Burrow is for real. I think that offense is for real with his stewardship and those weapons. But I'll take the Browns still just 1 game behind the Cincinnati Bengals at the moment. I mentioned the Browns, taking that L against the Arizona Cardinals as they stay 6-0. Let's welcome in our buddy who is 6-0, picking Monday Night Football this year, or probably will be 6-0, I should say, after this Monday night. Mike Tannenbaum, our resident GM here, has just been an absolute flamethrower when it comes to Monday Night Football. And we will get to that in a second because I know the people are anxiously awaiting, getting ready to write it down, the props that are guaranteed to cash. But, Mike, I want to start with some dogs that barked in the late window yesterday and got victories on the road. Were you more impressed with the Raiders having to deal with what they're dealing with off the field, getting a win in Denver, or the still undefeated Arizona Cardinals as an underdog getting a win in Cleveland?
Great to be with you guys. I'm going to go with the Raiders just from a standpoint. We all know what they dealt with a week ago. And to go get the win that they got the way they did, give a ton of credit to Rich Bisaccia, and more important, Derek Carr. Derek Carr wants to be known as an elite franchise quarterback. He took a massive step. He threw for almost 350 yards against a good Bronco defense, and I thought that was a massive win for them. And it could be transformational in terms of this will keep them in the race for the rest of the season. Remember, guys, heading into yesterday's games, they were the 6th seed in the AFC, so they are an interesting story to keep our eyes on moving forward because they could make the playoffs despite the coaching change.
Well, yesterday Jacksonville got their win in London, and that, of course, leaves us with only 1 winless team. And shockingly, it's the Detroit Lions. You look at their schedule. Are they going to do this 0-4 again? Like, are they going to win a game? I really only see potentially, 2 games they maybe have a chance at winning?
Yeah, Bear, I think they are. I'm a big believer in Dan Campbell. And look, sometimes the schedule looks one way and how it plays out. But this is a team really that should have 2 wins, except for real miracle finishes. So I do think there are a couple of games here, be it Chicago. And let's face it, there may be a game, let's say, at Pittsburgh, given Ben Roethlisberger's health. But this is a team really that should have 2 wins at least. And you go back to the Miracle pull against Baltimore. Baltimore's a really good team. So I think this is a team that is better when the record says. I think Jared Goff is a guy that won't be there in a year or 2. We heard what Dan Campbell said about him, Bear. But at the end of the day, I don't think this team goes without a win.
All right, Mike T, time for you to do what you do best in handicap Monday Night Football. Last week, you almost got the outright dub with the Colts, but everyone was on the Ravens, me included, and the Colts covered despite the Ravens getting that come-from-behind victory. Tonight, we have
Tyler, if Rodrigo Blankenship hits a 47-yard field goal, I look even smarter. I mean, they play, and in fairness, Carson Wentz played really well. That was a very makeable field goal.
Well, kickers. I mean, you can't trust kickers, Mike T. So you're still running hotter, as my producer says here, than a metal roof in the Vegas summer. So let's keep it rolling. Tonight, we have the Buffalo Bills, a team you said very well could be the best team in the AFC prior to the season. They're going on the road for a back-to-back primetime matchup. They beat KC in Arrowhead on Sunday night last week. Now it's Monday night in Tennessee against the Titans as they try and get that offense cranking with Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, and Derrick Henry. The Bills are laying 6 on the road, a total of 53.5. What are you thinking on side and or total?
I like the Bills, and I like them to not only cover, but to win convincingly. And here's why. I was expecting a lot more out of Tennessee's defense. When you think about the offseason, going to drafting Caleb Farley, signing Janoris Jenkins, signing Bud Dupree, we haven't really seen that translate on the defensive side of the ball. Buffalo is number one in defensive efficiency, and we know about the greatness of Josh Allen. So I just think we see Buffalo, their offense is better than the way Tennessee's defense is playing, which is a surprise. And on the other side of the ball, I really think unless Derrick Henry can rush for 140 and 50 yards and have like a 30 to 32 minute time of possession, I just don't see Tennessee slowing down Josh Allen. So the best way for Mike Vrabel to win this game is to feed Derrick Henry, but at the end of the day, I think it's too much Josh Allen, too much of that Buffalo defense, and I like Buffalo somewhat convincingly tonight.
Well, I know usually on Mondays you're throwing out some quarterback prop candy to everyone here, but you mentioned Derrick Henry. His rushing yard total prop tonight, 94.5 yards. That seemed a little bit low to me because I kind of felt like you, like the only way Tennessee can stay in this game is to feed Henry and hope that he can control the clock and get accumulate a lot of carries and yardage.
You know, Bear, and here's why I like the over. When you think about defensive-minded head coaches like a John Harbaugh, like a Rex Ryan, like Mike Vrabel, they're going to look through the game to say, hey, what's going to help our defense? And we know that his defense, for whatever reason, is struggling. Josh Allen and that Buffalo Bill offense is extremely explosive. So his mindset's going to be like, hey, Todd Downing, our offensive coordinator, the best way for us to win this game is to feed Derrick Henry. And that's why I see him going over 94.5. I think it's the strategy of a defensive-minded head coach that's saying, because that offense is so explosive, we have to control the line of scrimmage on offense to win this game.
I hope you were listening, boys and girls. Mike Tannenbaum, the professor of Monday Night Football, taking the Bills, laying the lumber on the road. He's been nothing but right and hot all season long. Mike T, as always, we appreciate our resident GM stopping by for a Monday sesh on Bet.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, now, here's the awkward part, Bear, because Mike T has literally been perfecto on Monday Night Football, and I think we're on the same side, which is opposite of Mike T, but for very classic gambler reasons, like Gambling 101. So we're gonna lay out the spread and total here and our picks, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're both on the Tennessee side, and for me at least, and let me know how you feel, it was because it moved from the number of 5.5 to the key number of 6 for a home underdog. Is that why you're now backing the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, that's absolutely one of the reasons. But I feel a little dirty, a little concerned going up against the Dallas Cowboys of Monday Night Football there with Mike Tannenbaum. But for a lot of the reasons that he hit on about Tennessee playing complementary football to help their defense, that's a big part of the reason. I think Tennessee has to keep that Buffalo offense off the field because their defense has been so bad. And giving Henry 30, 32, however many carries he needs to try and keep that time of possession down for the Buffalo offense to keep that defense off the field. Remember too, last Monday night, everybody thought it was an easy Ravens win over the Colts. No shot.
Yep.
What wound up happening, the Colts very easily could have won that game, and Baltimore won in overtime. Similar type thing tonight. This line creeped up to 6.5. Not ready to give that 7 yet, but I just think at the elevated price now, the way it's crept up, I got to take the home dog on Monday night.
Yeah, the Bear Claw, a nice touch there with your pick prop. I, too, will make it official, and I don't have a cool animation like that, but I am on the Tennessee Titans. I know I need to get something like a chef's knife or something like that. We'll work on it with the production staff here, but I am on the Tennessee Titans +6. There we go. Against the Buffalo Bills. If you find it at -5.5 like it was earlier in the week, then I implore you to go all in on Bills Mafia because I do think they are the better team. But at 6 for a home underdog, and for, again, I think kind of a sandwich letdown spot potentially for Buffalo coming off that big convincing win on the road against KC, having their bye week this week, so maybe the guys have already started to plan some vacation with the family when they're on the week 7 bye. Potential letdown spot for the Bills. They are the better team. But I reluctantly go against the Dallas Cowboys of picking Monday nights. Mike Tannenbaum, I'm with you, Bear. Let's ride together, my friend, tonight in Nashville.
Let's do it.
Let's pivot away from the pro gridiron and now drop it to the collegiate gridiron and get ready for week 8 of the college football season by taking a look at a few games here, and Bear, your expertise is needed. You see the first one we want to dissect here, Coastal Carolina, 14th in the nation, laying 3.5 on the road at Appalachian State, a total of 59.5. This is a Wednesday kickoff, Bear. How you looking at this one?
Boy, Louisiana just absolutely crushed Appalachian. That was a total no-show by Appalachian State last week, and that would concern me. But Coastal Carolina has been so dominant. I think they still lead the nation, I believe, in yards per play with McCall and Likely, who's an unbelievable tight end, who should be the All-American tight end in the country. I just think too much offense, and I'm not sure Chase Bryce and Appalachian State have enough firepower to match Coastal score for score. So I will reluctantly lay the 3.5 on the road.
All right, how about a Big Ten matchup in the Big House? Michigan, a team that's 5-1 ATS this season and ranked 6th in the country, laying 3 touchdowns and a hook, total of 51 against the Northwestern Wildcats, Bear.
I don't know how Northwestern is going to score in this game. They had a heck of a time trying to score against Rutgers on Saturday, and they got that win. But this is a Michigan team. Now, the only thing you would need to concern yourself with is the fact that Michigan has the big game with Michigan State next week. But I think how Michigan has played, you get that win, and when you get two consecutive road wins in conference. They won in Wisconsin, came back the following week, won in Nebraska. Get an off week. This should be a rejuvenated, refreshed team who has their eyes on the Big Ten championship game and a spot maybe in the college football playoff. I think Michigan wins this game going away.
All right, Bear, let's move it down to the SEC. LSU and Ole Miss, number 12 in the country, Ole Miss hosting LSU at Oxford. These two teams in the headlines for different reasons. Ole Miss was the target practice for Tennessee fans at Neyland Stadium, and of course LSU going to be moving on from Eddie Orgeron. How you handicapping this one?
It's under 10 now, and I think that's a reaction to Lane Kiffin saying Matt Corral may not play on Saturday, or if he is going to play, he's not going to be 100%, and they're going to be a little short of some offensive skill guys as well. But I think that might have been LSU's last stand on Saturday. Everybody was kind of bad-mouthing them, and then they came out as a big home underdog and beat Florida. And now that it is official, the Coach O's not coming back, I think a lot is still at stake here for Ole Miss. I think they would love to get a big win in this game. So I am going to, now that it's under 10, I'll lay that 9.5 with the Rebs.
You know, not quite the normal playbook, or a game plan, I should say, out of the Bear playbook. 3 games, and you're taking 3 favorites. How about this last one here,
How
Bear?
about that?
USC at Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish at home, laying a touchdown, the 7 points, total of 58. Are you going to make it 4 for 4 with the favorites here, or are you going to back an underdog?
I'm going to back the underdog USC Trojans here. I'm still just not convinced that Notre Dame is a great team. I've said it a couple times during the course here. The offensive line has had a bunch of problems. The quarterback issues are there as well. And USC, look, fired Clay Helton, which was to be expected. They've had their own issues at quarterback with Slovis and Dart as well. But I think going on the road a week after kind of getting embarrassed at home again by Utah, I think they have an opportunity to kind of get their head right. They have a big game, and I just don't feel comfortable laying 7 points with Notre Dame right now.
There's a dip into the honey pot I expect from the Bear. 3 favorites,
Exactly.
and then finally an underdog there with SC visiting South Bend. All right, Bear, hang tight, chill, hibernate, I shall say, in the Bear Cave for a bit. We're going to move to the association. Perfect. Taking a little nap. He's coming back, folks. Don't worry. The Bear will be back. But did y'all forget about Dre? Andre Snellings joining us right now. I know I did not. As we're getting ready, Dre, look at that. The NBA season tips off tomorrow. Didn't we just crown the Milwaukee Bucks champions like 6 days ago? Well, here it is. These games count now, so let's dive in with Andre Snellings. Dre, the Bucks may be the defending champs, but on opening night, they are home underdogs against the Nets, as this has now swung to the Nets land a 1.5. Of course, no Kyrie Irving. Total of 237.5. It's come down a little bit. How you looking at this Tuesday night opener?
Give me the Bucks, and I will take the over 237.5. There's been a lot of history, playoff and championship-wise, between these two teams since last regular season. But they played 3 times last regular season. The Bucks won 2 of them, and they averaged a combined 240.3 points per game. They went over 237.5 in 2 of those games. And really, the Nets still struggle with interior defense. They just don't have an answer for Giannis, who averaged a whopping 40 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in their 3 matchups last regular season. And as a bonus, he's got to hear all summer about how the only reason he won is because the Nets were not healthy last season. So I'm expecting a motivated Greek freak on opening night.
Yeah, I like that handicapping. There is no one who can handle the Greek freak in the paint on that Nets roster. Speaking of the Nets, we saw their favorite. You still see it up there. Favorites to win the East. Highest Vegas preseason win total on the board at 56.5. We know that they have some drama in that locker room, but there's also a whole hell of a lot of talent in that locker room. So when you look at that win total of 56.5, are you thinking over or under?
I'm going over 56.5 because quietly, they don't need Kyrie Irving in order to be able to win 57 games in the regular season. Their 2 MVP candidates, James Harden and Kevin Durant, are still there. Real plus minus confirms they're the 2 biggest impact players on the team. And they're a team full of veterans who should not be so distracted by the Kyrie will he or won't he, and should be focused on their goal of winning the title. So give me the over of 56.5 wins.
I think that's very fair. Even without Kyrie, that team is experienced and definitely loaded with talent, KD and Jimmy Harden. The nightcap, Warriors-Lakers, and we know the Lakers are a new-look squad. We know the Warriors still waiting to get Klay Thompson back, but there's renewed optimism this season. Lakers laying 3.5, total of 228. How you looking at this Western Conference matchup?
I will give the points and take the Lakers and the under. These 2 teams played 3 times last season. The Lakers won 2 of them, but the average scoring margin of those 3 games was Lakers plus 18.3 points. Like, the games weren't close. And they averaged 220.5 combined points between them. None of the games went over 228. So I'm expecting the Lakers to come out motivated, to show that the injuries of last season are a thing in the past. And in addition, Russell Westbrook is making his home debut in Los Angeles. So I'm expecting mad energy and a lot of defense played. So I'll take the Lakers in a low-scoring game.
2 really good games on Tuesday night. Let's wrap it up by just handicapping that Western Conference in general. Surprise, surprise, the Lakers are the overwhelming favorite at plus 180. But the team with the second shortest odds is their opponent tomorrow night, the Golden State Warriors. Again, Klay Thompson not ready to start the season, but he will be back, joining his splash brother Steph Curry in the backcourt. So given that is to come, how are you handicapping who you think is coming out of the West?
I've still got the Lakers as a team to beat. But at plus 180, there's not a lot of value in picking them to win the West. The Warriors, if Klay comes back, he's at full strings, he stays healthy, and he fully integrates with the new team. They may be able to contend, but I have it a little premature to have them with the second shortest odds in the West. I think the best value on the board is the Denver Nuggets at plus 1,000. They were in the conference finals in the bubble. Then they've since added Aaron Gordon and have a much more mature Michael Porter Jr. And that's around MVP Nikola Jokic. And from what I understand, they could get Jamal Murray back as soon as the All-Star break if there are no setbacks. And that would give him plenty of time to be up to speed by the time the playoffs come around. a fully loaded Nugget squad is really good value at 10-1.
Dre dropping knowledge here on Bet. Andre Snellings, we appreciate you stopping by. Look forward to chatting with you throughout the NBA season, Dre.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me, and I can't wait.
All right, now we get back to Major League Baseball and welcome back the Bear and our friend Marly Rivera, who is ready for Game 3 of the ALCS tonight, Red Sox and the Astros. Marly, let's start with Kike Hernandez, who has been a hero in this postseason for the Boston Red Sox. Remember, he was on the Dodgers roster as kind of a utility role player, a platoon guy. Now Alex Cora is using him as an everyday player and getting the most out of him. How has he turned into this postseason monster?
I think a lot of people don't know that Alex Cora has known Kike Hernandez since he was 10 years old. So if someone really knows who Kike Hernandez is and what he can bring to a team, it's Alex Cora. And Alex remembers, he was saying, did you see everything that he did against us, against the Red Sox when he was with the Dodgers? Kike is an excellent postseason performer. And that's exactly where that trust comes from. But it also comes from knowing what this kid can give, from knowing what becoming an everyday player meant to Kike Hernandez. That's precisely where he's just tearing it up and becoming a little bit of a Mr. October this postseason.
Yeah. Over on the Astros side, you look at their starting pitching. It's been a disaster. They're already without their ace. Number 2, number 3 starters. Eight earned runs in 3 2/3 innings. I mean, they have to get a big contribution, you would think, tonight from Jose Urquidy in what I think is going to be a cool, breezy New England evening, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. And one of the great things is that they believe in him in there. I was just speaking to Dusty Baker, and he told me, you know what we call Jose Urquidy? El Guerrero. That means the warrior. And that's exactly what they need. And this is a guy that already has World Series experience, that has playoff experience, right? In 18 and 19. We know he had a very tough year last year, but they know exactly what he can bring, and they do believe that Jose Urquidy, like you mentioned, he's going to have to take the bulk, especially because that pitching is in shambles right now, right? Like, you do have Zach Greinke in there who can help you. You know what happened with Jake Odorizzi when he wasn't ready to come inside that game. But right now, they believe that today, Jose Urquidy is going to save that bullpen and give him at least 5 or 6 innings.
A pivotal Game 3 from Fenway Park, 8:08 Eastern, first pitch tonight, Red Sox and the Astros. Marly Rivera live on the scene, joining us here on Bet. Marly, stay warm and enjoy the game. All right, Bear, that leaves the final bet for us to make in Monday's edition of the show. Bet, Game 3 of this ALCS. Red Sox, a slight favorite at home, -111. Comeback is +101 on the Astros. Total set at 9, and we saw it and heard it there from Marly. A little breezy, a little chilly in Boston tonight. How are you looking to play Game 3?
Man, I'm sitting here in Connecticut, and it's breezy and a little cool here, so I have to go with the Red Sox. The way that top of the lineup has been hitting the baseball, it's a team that kind of got rejuvenized at the end of the year, won the wild card game, and then to get to this point, they've been really unbelievable. I don't want to say I don't trust Jose Urquidy to get to like the 6th inning and give them a quality start. If he doesn't, the way how taxed their bullpen is right now, I think that Red Sox lineup will put up a big number tonight. So maybe in addition to just laying the 111 and with the Red Sox, maybe you find a Red Sox team total out there and expect them to put up some runs. Because I think if the Astros win the game, it's going to have to be like an 8-6 type of game.
And that's why I'm playing the total over 9, despite the weather concerns. This is Fenway Park, so that kind of mitigates the weather concerns because it's such wonky, short dimensions down the lines and in the power alley. 40-degree weather is not going to hurt these guys who have legitimate power or sap them from taking the ball over the fence. But I kind of like the Astros on the money line, though you see my official pop there is over 9 because the Astros can do damage against a left-handed pitcher, and Eduardo Rodriguez is a good real-life pitcher. He's even a little bit better at home than he is on the road, but the Astros have just absolutely smashed left-handed pitching all season long and continued that into this postseason. They were top 4 in Major League Baseball in average, on-base, slugging, and OPS against southpaws this season. They've been even better in the postseason. And Bear, you mentioned on the other side, the Red Sox carrying their weight, so to speak. Urquidy's not an imposing postseason pitcher. Is he a good real-life pitcher? Sure, but he's not imposing by any stretch of the imagination. But that lineup, led by Kike Hernandez, has been exceeding expectation every step of the way. Regular season, ALDS, and now ALCS. So I'm over 9. You're officially on the Red Sox side. We can both be winners for Game 3 of the ALCS. Everyone a winner, watch and bet when the Bear is joining me. Don't forget, Mike Tannenbaum laying the wood with the Bills tonight. Let's see if he can keep it rolling. Bear, appreciate you joining me on Bet. We'll talk to you on Thursday for another edition of the show.